Well, hello there, you wonderful people. Welcome back to the channel. I've got some good news. Um, since I have been kind of following this whole thing with Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro and One D&D and all of that mess, I thought you guys would like to kind of hear. I'm not going to say it's an ending, but at least for the moment, it's a pause in the war. And that's just because I'm a pessimist. A lot of folks would say, war's over, we won. But I I'm not an optimist. I'm a pessimist. Um, and basically what has happened is Wizards of the Coast has put out a statement that well, for those of you who don't know what's been going on, real quick update. Wizards of the Coast, which creates Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons, was bought by Hasbro quite a while back. And Hasbro has been their parent company. They've been producing D&D. They produce D&D 5th edition, which is the most current iteration of D&D, and my personal favorite. Uh, and a new version of D&D called One D&D was on the horizon. It's basically going to come out next year, is what it's sounding like. So ahead of that, and ahead of the Dungeons and Dragons movie, um, somebody at Wizards of the Coast leaked a document, and that document basically says it is a revision of the open game license. Now, what the open game license was back when third edition D&D was coming out. D&D was not top of the hill. At the time, White Wolf Games owned tabletop gaming, and D&D had kind of run out of steam for a lot of folks. So they did a complete revision of the game, rules, the way they play tested it, all of that. They basically kind of went back to the drawing board and produced third edition D&D and then 3.5 D&D. And what they did sort of all as like the cherry on top of the sundae was they released a open gaming license, which basically said, as long as you met a few very minor considerations, like putting a copy of the agreement, which was like a one-page document, in your game, in your product, and you made mention that you needed to purchase a player's handbook from D&D to use your product, you could write content under the third edition D&D rules. And this really did kind of spawn like an amazing amount of third-party content, not just for D&D, but also for all kinds of different genres. There were science fiction games, there were modern games, horror, superheroes, all kinds of stuff that came out under the open game license. And that was 20 some years ago. And there are a lot of companies that's all they do is they produce third-party content for D&D. Fourth edition of D&D came out, it crashed and burned pretty hard because of the changes they made to the rule structure, and a lot of it is how they marketed it. It was not a bad game, but it just in a lot of folks' minds, it really wasn't D&D. The folks designing it were chasing after World of Warcraft at the time, and they tried to create a tabletop RPG experience, which was sort of like playing World of Warcraft. And what they discovered is if you want to play World of Warcraft, you go and play World of Warcraft. You don't put your chocolate in your peanut butter. It was not a bad game, and actually some of the things that they did in fourth edition kind of morphed into. I remember when I first heard about fifth edition, and they said some of the things that were in fourth were going to come into third or into fifth. I got very, very nervous, but then I saw fifth edition, and it was pretty amazing. And I have a lot of love for fifth edition. Not so much for Wizards of the Coast or for Hasbro, but I got a lot of love for that game. Anyways, so the OGL spawned like this huge industry. And the folks who are at Hasbro and Wizards now, uh, things are not economically terrific. There's been a little bit of a stall with Magic the Gathering because the folks at Wizards have been, and this is just I'm just reporting what is out there. I'm not confirming or denying this. I'm saying this is what has been reported. Go do your own research, but there has been some buzz that a lot of Magic the Gathering stuff was stalling out because they were just dumping so much of it onto the market. Then you have Transformer cards, and you have kaiju and anime cards and all this other shit. Um, so basically, um, they decided to kind of go for a little bit of a cash grab with D&D, with one D&D, the new system. And to get all the competition out of the way, they were going to revise the open game license. Well, they weren't going to tell anybody. I don't give a damn what they say. That was not a draft because they had already sent it out to some parties to get them to sign it. That's not a draft. That's trying to slip something in under the radar. It didn't work. The OGL 1.1 leaked and everyone lost their damn mind because it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. If you're a third-party content creator, you were reamed by this thing. And I won't linger on it, but basically just so you kind of understand why everyone got so up in arms. If you were a third-party content creator, D&D Wizards of the Coast was saying, hey, that's a great product you put out. That's really imaginative and innovative. We never thought about that. It's ours now. What? You don't like that? Well, you shouldn't have signed the OGL 1.1. Of course, that's the only way you get to stay in business because the original OGL is no longer allowable. So it's the new one or nothing. And whatever you produce, we can take it from you. We don't owe you a cent of royalties for it. It's just ours. And a lot of folks think they were aiming this at folks like Paizo, Cobalt Press, some of the folks who make a lot of money off of the open game license. But the problem was in the process of trying to swat the other giants, they were going to kill a lot of little companies. Imagine you're doing a crowdfunder for your supplement that you're developing, and you've got the money coming in, and everything's awesome, and you're well into production, and then you get hit with this. Your options are refund the money from the crowdfunding, shut everything down, not be able, try to scramble to pay your people that worked on it, or sign the new OGL and pray to God that they don't decide just to like scoop it all up and take it from you. That's it. And really, a lot of folks are speculating that a lot of this has to do with D&D. And see, I see it as a steady climb. D&D jumped a lot in the market because of the open game license, because there was a huge amount of material out there for the game system. And that gave Wizards of the Coast and D&D a little sweet spot. Well, and they saw a lot of people making money off of it. Then they saw that it getting highlighted in Stranger Things. They saw it getting highlighted on Critical Role, Roll20. They saw folks like the folks who do what is it called? Is it D20? The virtual tabletop, or that might be Roll20. That's Roll20. But basically, there was a lot of folks making money off of this. And TSR, well, sorry, TSR's gone. Wizards of the Coast decided this was the way to go, basically to try to kind of scrape some of the cream off of that industry that they had created. But when they did the original OGL, they put in there the term that it was, continuous, it was going to go on, it was ongoing, in perpetuity. Well, legally, that doesn't mean much. If you have like superpowered Saiyan lawyers, you can twist words like in perpetuity into something that means something entirely different. Bottom line was the revision they had made and tried to slip under the table would screw over a lot of people and make Wizards a lot more money, and therefore make Hasbro a lot more money. and the gaming community lost their damn minds about it. Good on us, because it was unjust, and because they were talking about monetizing, and they're still talking about this. This is still happening. This is why I'm saying I'm not entirely sure we're out of the woods here, folks, because God only knows what they're going to try to do with one D&D. Basically, what they want to do with one D&D is turn it into like a virtual system where, if you play a video game and you can pay like real money to get a certain skin for your character, or buy that, get that amazing sniper rifle or whatever in the video game content. They want to do that with D&D. Hey, you want to jump your first 2 levels and get straight to your 3rd level where you get your class feature? Well, you just pay enough money and bingo, you got it. Hey, you want to do a Twitch channel where you're showing your group playing D&D? We can come in and shut you down. Or you can just pay us some money if you're making some cheddar off of it. That's what was happening. And the tabletop gaming community, almost as a whole, I mean, even the folks who like worship at the feet of Wizards of the Coast were like, oh, hell no. So they put out Wizards of the Coast put out a mealy-mouthed bullshit statement that basically was like, oh, we were never trying to do that. We weren't trying to take money away from people and give it to ourselves. We were trying to protect the gaming community from hatred and racism and evil, nasty, bad actors. Bullshit. Bullshit. Oh no, I might not get monetized now. Oh, joke's on you. I don't have enough people to get monetized. So they made this kind of mealy-mouthed sort of like mea culpa. We rolled a 1. That's a quote. And another interesting note. Suddenly, I started seeing all of these like weird online comments from people basically parroting the exact same thing that Wizards was saying, which means they're either robots, like they're either NPCs in the truest sense of the word, some kind of bots, or they were people who just suck at the teat of Wizards of the Coast and believe every fucking thing they say. I don't really care because it didn't work. Whatever that was about, that it didn't work. So Wizards has put out a statement that says they're going to not touch the original OGL, the original OGL, and they're going to have the option of an SRD 5.1. I think it's open license. I'm trying to know what the exact terminology is, but basically, what that is it's kind of the nuts and bolts of the D&D game system, and it kind of goes hand in hand with the OGL. What they're doing with that is they're cutting out a lot of the extra stuff that was in there, which what it means is it protects their stuff. SRD 5.1 protects their stuff. So like if you wanted to do a fantasy game, you can't just lift like barbarian, sword, wizard, so you can't take stuff straight out of their content to use in your spin-off game. They give like one example, like here's a class, here's an example of a class, here's an example of a skill, here's an example of a feat, and the rest of it you have to come up with yourself. You can't poach any of their stuff. And they give you, basically what they're saying in this last statement is they give you the choice. You can just exist under the current OGL that's been around for 20 plus years, or you can jump over to this other SRD 5.1 and make your stuff off of that. Now, this is great. And I mean, I want to be like, woo, hell yeah, because basically they got thousands of people canceling their D&D Beyond online memberships. That's a lot of money. They did a survey and they asked for feedback on the OGL and revisions to it. and the surveys were overwhelmingly, there was none of this like 49-51 stuff. This was like, if I remember correctly, I think it was like 86%. And again, don't quote me on that number. I'm going off of stuff that I have seen and heard from other sources. But like 86% of the people respondents to the survey didn't want any changes to the OGL at all. And they were very resistant to any changes. And the folks at, you know, Wizards of the Coast, they can count. They can count. They were losing people, they were hemorrhaging people. One of their competitors, who they created with the OGL, Paizo, the folks who make Pathfinder, Starfinder, do a lot of third-party accessory content, you know, monster tokens and all kinds of stuff like that. And by the way, just so you know, I ran Pathfinder version 1 for years. I love their world. I think they're very creative and they have a lot of great ideas. That system is just too crunchy for me. Now, I have a friend, one of my folks that I follow on Twitter, who does some stuff with Pathfinder second edition. And they're going to come on here at some point and school me on how second edition is so much less crunchy and so much better. Well, Paizo, creators of Pathfinder, in the last month or so, sold out 9 months worth of their inventory for Pathfinder because of the good folks at Wizards of the Coast. Wizards learned that as much as they want to be the brand, which they are. I mean, if you're like me, I've been gaming since I was like 12 years old. And if you were like saying, what are you playing? Well, I'm playing Traveler. What's that? Well, it's kind of, well, do you know D&D? Oh, yeah, I've heard of Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah. Well, it's like that, but it's in space. It isn't really, but D&D does have that brand identity. And they basically wanted to wipe out anybody else who might, you know, get any of that. The OGL basically gave Paizo their start, and when all this started, Paizo was just like, we're going to start our own gaming license, which was called Orc. Don't ask me what that stands for because I can't remember. But they had a bunch of companies, including Chaosium, which is one of the sacred cows in gaming. They've been around forever. They do Call of Cthulhu, RuneQuest. They did the Elric role-playing game. A lot of cool stuff. If here's old school, they did the Thieves World game. The Chaosium guys are awesome. They really are, and they make amazing products, and they've been around for a long time. Chaosium jumped on board with the Orc license. A lot of other companies did as well. So Green Ronin, another good company. These guys all jumped on that, and we're just like, bye, bye, Felicia, bye, Watsy, bye. And Watsy's like, oh crap, oh crap, we're not as indestructible or irreplaceable as we thought we were. Oh dear. So they backed off. So as of this recording, which this all broke, I think Friday. This is Saturday. You're looking at the original open gaming license from Wizards of the Coast to remain as is. And Wizards, I think, is hoping that all the folks who said, like me, I'm not going to the D&D movie. I'll either wait for it to go on streaming somewhere, or I'll sail the high seas if I really want to watch it that bad. And they announced they were putting out a new supplement for D&D that sounded really good. And I'm like, I'll buy it used somewhere on Amazon or somewhere else. Or again, Avast, high seas. Not that I'm condoning that. I'm just saying it happens. Anyways, they're hoping folks like me are going to be like, okay, all right, I'll go see your movie. I'll pick up your supplement. And I might. You know, I have a pretty decent collection of fifth edition stuff, and I do enjoy that game. I really do. Um, there's more good about it than bad, and I know for a lot of folks, and there's so many other games there, and that's the nice thing. That's kind of like part of the win for this. If you really want to take the takeaway of like a pure victory, the folks like my friend John Watts, they're going to get to keep making stuff and making money. Um, the the folks who basically have made a career out of this open license content can keep doing it. That's awesome. And the other thing that's kind of I think advantageous is hopefully this will keep the fine folks at WotC a little humble because they need to be. Because you have one of the smartest and most active fan bases in IP. Tabletop gamers like what they like, and they'll spend money on it. But if you start jerking them around, you can't sit there and go, "We were only doing it for your own good, trying to save you from the evil racists in tabletop gaming." They're not going to buy that. They're not going. No one believed you. Nobody did. Nobody believed you. And they figured that out pretty quick. The boy who cried woke didn't work. So we have a victory today. Are they going to stop trying this? I doubt it. Are they going to roll out some new bullshit for 1D&D? Probably. Am I going to feel myself pulling away from Wizards of the Coast product? Some. I've been doing that anyway. I mean, I don't buy everything that rolls out the door from WotC. Never have, never will. But at least now, I am willing to consider going to see the D&D movie. I am willing to consider buying a book of theirs if it's something good, because they're not hurting people. They're not destroying families and livelihoods so that fucking Hasbro can make it, a little bit extra next quarter. Which, by the way, that's going to be interesting to see too. And I'll try to keep you guys posted on this. The results of all this should be coming out, in the next month or so, about what this little adventure did for WotC and Hasbro's bottom line. Interestingly enough, around the time this Mea Culpa came out, there was an announcement that Hasbro is laying off 15% of their workforce. They're getting rid of the of the production company that's doing their D&D movie. They apparently had a G.I. Joe movie in production or in pre-production. That's gone. They are going to be banking on Wizards of the Coast making them money. And they knew they needed to get themselves correct with their fan base before they launched that ship, because they stepped in it. They made a major mistake. So, tabletop gamers out there, I salute you. You did great. You basically stood up to a huge multi-million-dollar, maybe billion-dollar corporation. You looked them in the eye and you stared them down. Congratulations. We'll see if it lasts. Nothing lasts forever. Nothing lasts forever. But at least for today, we can have a little victory. So, I wanted to get you guys' opinion. You can drop this in the comments for the video. Would you guys? I've been thinking about doing like a Chainsaw Man thing, and I'm doing a rewatch right now, and I'm thinking I might do like Chainsaw Man episodes, like want to do the Batman animated series episodes. Just do like an episode by episode review. And unless much like Wizards of the Coast, unless I hear no, don't do it, I'm probably gonna do it. So let me know. You choose your own adventure. And let me know what you think, what you would like to see, on the channel. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't, please. I'm trying to grow it. Slow but sure, but I'm trying to grow it. Next weekend is a Amber Diceless RPG weekend. continuing the game I started in 2019. Jesus fuck. And excited about that. Always excited about that. It's always a good time. It's great to see people that I don't always see. I'll tell you guys how it goes. Hopefully I'll be able to hit you guys up with another video this week. I got to admit, this month has been ragged and hard. So I'm kind of still grinding to make my bread. Look at me just throwing the analogies around here. Anyways, I will let you guys know what's up, and like I said, I'll hopefully be able to get at least one more video in before next weekend. If I can do more than that, I will. But I wanted to give you guys the good news and kind of let you know what's on the horizon. So subscribe to the channel if you can. Please encourage, threaten, harass, intimidate others to join the channel as well. Click on the bell so you get notifications when I've got new stuff coming out. And thank you so much for all your time and effort. And I will see you on the next video. Bye.